SEM post. And it's separate Q&A pages can signal low quality. Okay, so apparently, as the story goes, Google commented that adding additional pages to a site can actually devalue the current pages on a site.
That's a dangerous thing to say. That's just
isn't that awesome?
There's just no way that can be properly interpreted by more than.
That's actually been in play since Panda.
Yeah. Now think, but again, the funny part is the way Jen's not here today, but if she was, I'd bust her balls. But the way she's reporting it, it's more about thin content, and I don't actually think they're saying that.
That were the case, Wikipedia would not be ranked in the top 5. They're huge.
Well, no, okay, more is better. Adding pages to a site. John Mueller addressed this, mentioned that sometimes adding additional pages may not be the best approach. It's depending on the motivation, as it can affect overall value. This is something Google doesn't usually access directly, blah, blah, blah. Mueller says they won't miraculously rank just as well as the current page on the site. Won't necessarily.
But here's the thing.
Wait. I almost throw my take out here before, and then you guys can play with it.
Okay.
If you think again, he at no point said anything about thin content, so let's leave that out. That's just a heading that Jen put on there, and so that's just clickbait or whatever. So what he's saying is that technically speaking, if you've got an FAQ page that's uber long with a bunch of topics and questions and answer, and then you break that into separate pages, that can affect things. Well, yes. Because now that one page has less topical range of diversity semantically. So those standalone pages aren't. Now, technically, if that FAQ pages has internal links going to it and you spread them out, now you've just spread out the internal link juice as well. And more so, you might, if it's large enough, actually affect your crawl rate and so on and so on. So I can think of 3 ways that splitting those up may affect a site. But that doesn't mean that, it's thin content or anything like she's reporting. What that actually means is that that page was more robust originally, and now you spread it up into topically less robust pages, and those may not rank as well as what he's saying. Well, of course not. Not just like technical on-site SEO 101. You know what I mean? If you've got a page that's, about jaguars, and it talks about their eating habits and their sleeping habits and their living habits, and then you spread it out into a page on how often jaguars sleep and what do jaguars eat and what do jaguars do. Well, now you've spread out that topical diversity over 3 pages. And
not
so
if it links to the first page.
Right. So that and plus now your internal linking is spread out over 3 pages. So yes, that is going to probably have an effect, which is what John's saying. So this is what I love about these answers, because it's not, well, that's all he's actually saying, is that if you take an FAQ page and you split it up 1 question per page, yeah, you've just spread out that authority of that page. You've spread out the topical diversity of that page, and you've spread out the internal link juice passing or potentially external link juice passing into that page. So again, everything's bailed with these guys. It's like, well, yeah, that's what probably happens with a search engine. And so someone now runs away and says, thin content, don't spread up. It's like, all right, I'm done.
Okay, can I
don't disagree.
I agree with what Dave said, but also remember, 1, that Panda is running all the time. One of the things that we found with Panda, and this was brought to our attention by someone who was dealing with a site that was mentioned several times to be doing exactly what Dave said. And what we were told by that person was that they were combining that content all together and finding big changes.
Now, now again, we don't need to mention the person, but you're talking about eHow?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah,
I guess eHow is a massive site. If everyone remembers back in the day, they were up there with fucking Wikipedia for pretty much every query on the planet.
Until Eric left.
Yeah.
Well, Eric left and they tanked.
So Terry, are you saying that instead of 1 page with 3 additional pages about that content, they were just taking those 3 extra pages and making 1 long page?
Well, like think of it this way: how to replace a flat tire, how to repair a flat tire, how to find a good flat tire replacement. eHow would answer all those questions separately. And so what they started playing around with, because one of the guys that was the director of SEO was a dojo member, they started playing around with consolidating that information into one answer as opposed to 3 separate answers.
Not
and
only,
they were getting legwork out of it.
And that wasn't only them, David. It was also at least 2 other people that were in that panel, private panel, told us the exact same thing. Also, it all comes down to people make thin content. Like, what is it? Well, it's not the number of words on the page. It's what the content consists of.
What's the value?
So it's about value add, not just value add. If there are 10 people ranking already with the same content, don't waste your time. Unless you know for a fact some of them are recent entrants.
Unless you've got an angle to add something to that topic.
Your time. Go on, move on to another term, because that ain't happening. You got to add value. And
then you know what I mean, like, you know, Terry post 2013, Terry, once Hummingbird came out, and even the query classifications themselves started to change, so that those larger loops of content that were somewhat topically related now in the query space itself, when Google got consolidated, so it made even more sense to start getting that content back together. So,
and also you have to also remember that could happen as a result of co-occurrence and the larger, what do you call it, vectors and stuff that they're using now, Dave. It's not keyword vectors. It's like,
it's concept and term vectors. Again,
textual vectors,
like the easiest way I explain it to people is that on a vector scale, the word purple and apple aren't very close, but the word red and apple and green and apple are very close in vector scales. And again, so you look at word to vec or even phrase to vec, which now goes into phrases that relate to each other as opposed to just words. Those vectors now start to tie in. So it's, you know, forget keyword stuffing and all that kind of shit.
The more
it's those vectors of concepts.
Yeah, and the more concepts that you can put into a page and use them properly, the higher you're going to rank for a broader set of keyword terms.